Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the J&J Sports Express for week 13 of the NFL season 2022. I'm your co-host Jeff Cadillac, and I welcome in always my co-host for the evening, JB Ellis. JB, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. How you doing?
Couldn't be better, bro. Every day above ground is a good day, and looking forward. This week is a lot of good games going on, a lot of playoff caliber games. Um, two great teams going against two great teams, team against team. I mean, a lot of games here to talk about, but we're talking about some of them this week, top five. So, we'll see what's what, but let's take it away. Let's go to the first game we're looking at. We're looking at the New York Jets at the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota's laying 3. The Jets are actually playing an important game in the month of December. How about that?
It's amazing. The Jets and Giants are for real this year.
Well, we'll see. But who do you like in this game?
I like Minnesota. They're at home. They're a good team. They're not a great team. They are what they are, but the Jets are the same way. Not a great team. Now the Jets have to go to Minnesota in the Dome, which is loud. Minnesota has better pieces. They got a great running back, Dalvin Cook. They got some great receivers with Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, who's disappeared. Their defense is okay. Against the Jets, who have a phenomenal defense, their secondary with Sauce Gardner has been amazing. Their offense is okay. Not the greatest offense in the world, mediocre. But I think when it's all said and done, Minnesota comes out and wins by about 6 in this game.
Okay. I hate to disagree with you, but I like the Jets in this game. I happen to like the Jets because, number one, I think Sauce Gardner is going to be all over Justin Jefferson. The rest of the secondary and the defense is going to put pressure on Kirk Cousins. They're going to shut down the run like they have been doing in the NFL this season. Kirk Cousins not going to have the run game to drop the ball off to. So what's going to happen? Kirk Cousins makes mistakes because now the game is all on his shoulders. I also like Mike White. He's in the Dome now. You don't have to worry about rain. I mean, he passed for 3 touchdowns last week in the rain against Chicago. Granted, Chicago's defense did go downhill, but Mike White came in, did the job he had to do, keeping Zach Wilson on the bench. And I like Mike White this week. I think the Jets, first of all, Minnesota's a faker. They're a real faker of a team. They got slammed by Dallas 40-3 a couple of weeks ago. Then they come back. They beat New England at home by 7, la-di-da, which that was a seesaw battle, and they were losing going into the fourth quarter. The Jets are a big problem for them because they're a defense type of team. They'll be running the game. They'll be running that, big time against Minnesota. Minnesota, listen, they get off their caliber sometimes, and I like the Jets in this game. I got to tell you, I think they win in Minnesota. Meaningful game in December for the Jets. I haven't said that in many years, so that's what I'm liking this weekend. What?
It's been a while. It's been
a lot of years. It's been almost 10 years since the Jets have played a meaningful game in December.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
So
but we'll see what happens.
Yep. The next game we're looking at also is another meaningful game for another New York football team. It's the Washington Commanders at the Giants. The Washington Commanders are a 1.5-point favorite. Who are you liking in this game, JB?
Tough game. Washington has been playing some great football the last couple of weeks. The Giants have held steady. I'm going to look at the Detroit loss as a team that was on fire and playing really good football at the time, Detroit. So, and the Seattle loss was 2 punts that were muffed for the Giants. So if you take that away, the Giants haven't been playing bad. Dallas is a better team. I had no expectations of them beating Dallas. So looking at this game, they're at home, division game. It's going to be tough. I think the Giants are going to pull out the win here. Better coach team. I think as long as Daniel Jones doesn't do anything stupid, the Giants come out and win. Barkley has his way with the Washington defense.
I have to disagree with you again on this game. because I like Washington in this game. I like Taylor Heineke. I like what he brings to the table. The Reds, I was going to say the Redskins, the Commanders, Washington, they ran the ball heavy against Atlanta last week. They ran very well. They held Atlanta to 13 points. They made a nice defensive stop at the end of the game. You also got possibility that Chase Young comes back this week, and he's going to give the Giants' offensive line some trouble. I don't like what I see from Daniel Jones. I don't think the Giants are going to – Washington is on the move. Taylor Heineke has given this team new energy. The Giants, they didn't look great against they were up 13-7 against Dallas last week on Thanksgiving, and they just totally went lame. You got – they scored –
Dallas is a better team.
Right, Jeff, but they didn't make any adjustments in the second half. They didn't make any adjustments. That's the sign of a good team. Dallas made some adjustments. They scored 21 points. I mean, Giants scored that dummy touchdown with 7 seconds left. I didn't like what I saw. Ever. What?
Best touchdown ever.
Yeah, if you had the Giants +9, but it's when it comes down to the win-loss, they lost. It wasn't even close. I like Washington in this game. I think they're more pumped up. Giants still have problems on defense. Got a lot of guys injured. They're getting guys back, but they're going to be rusty. So we'll see what's what. But I got to tell you, I like what Washington is doing. I like them to beat the Giants outright.
They beat Atlanta, Jeff. Slow your roll. And secondly, if you're going to talk about rust, Chase Young's been out over a year. There's some rust for you. So you go both ways with that analysis. The Giants by about 6.
Okay.
This series is going to be, it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be hard. They're going to split the series.
Come down to a field goal at the end maybe, and Washington wins.
Washington will win in Washington, but not in MetLife.
Okay. Well, they haven't played yet this season, so this is going to be the first game of the season for them.
Yes. Yeah, they're going to end up splitting the series. I'm already giving Washington the win in Washington.
Okay. Another game that's tough on the schedule is Tennessee at Philly. Philly is laying 6. Who do you like in this game there, JB?
This is a great game. I mean, you got the Titans, who have been playing inspired football since week 2 against the Eagles, who have fallen down to earth. They were playing unbelievable, and the last 3 games have been suspect. They got the loss to Washington, touchdown win over Green Bay, which that game could have went either way. And the other game, which game was it that I'm missing?
Well, you got Washington, you got Green Bay.
I'm missing.
I'd have to look it up.
No big deal. I mean, they look suspect. I think this is a close game.
Indy, they had to come back against Indy. They were down
16-10. They scored a touchdown at the end of it, 17-16.
13-3 and 16-10, and they scored a touchdown and won the game 17-16.
So I think that this game is going to come down to the end. I would take the points with the Titans. Who wins this game? Since I'm more worried about betting on it, I couldn't tell you. But I think this is probably one of the best games to watch of the week. But it'll definitely be under 6. I wouldn't go over a field goal in this game. It's going to be a tough game from start to end.
I got to tell you something. I do agree with you about the Titans. They're coming off that short loss against Cincinnati. Derrick Henry was held to about 39 yards, but he did have 79 yards receiving. Titans have to open up the offense, okay? That's one of their problems. Their defense has no problem. They hold teams. Teams don't score that much. It's a very underrated defense. I wouldn't look at it on paper. They're like, who knows where they are in the standings when it comes to rating of the defense. But I think Tennessee is a very good and well-coached team by Mike Vrabel. On the other side, the Eagles last week when they played Green Bay, they could have scored 50. They didn't really run away with that. Jordan Love came in after Rodgers was injured, and he kind of put a little extra into the team with Green Bay. I don't see Philadelphia definitely, rushing for 363 yards this week. You can guarantee that that's not going to happen. That's That doesn't happen in the NFL. Okay, I don't care who you're playing. It doesn't happen 2 weeks in a row. You might get a week like that. It happens, but it's not going to happen this week. The Titans certainly aren't going to give up, 300 rushing yards. The Eagles have to be very careful because the Titans, they also create turnovers. They're a very tightly knit team. This is a big test for the Eagles because this is like a playoff caliber team, playoff caliber game. The two other games you talked about, those are like two, wild card weekend games. The Jets in Minnesota, it's a wild card game. Washington and the Giants, that's another wild card game. But this year, the Titans and the Eagles, that's a division already. You're talking like division weekend game because I don't see the Titans or the Eagles losing in wild card if they happen to have to go that route. These are two tough teams. Eagles could score, but they have to be very careful. They get a little sloppy sometimes because last week they did get sloppy. They should have easily, when you got a chance to score a touchdown in the NFL, you got to take advantage of that. You can't just settle for 3 points all the time because a lot of times, Titans can turn around and bam, get a touchdown. They got to open it up. And I do like the Titans in this game. I think they need to bounce back after the Cincinnati loss. I actually liked Titans last week. I thought being at home, they would make it really close, and I thought they would win the game outright, but it didn't happen. Eagles last week, they were a 7-point favorite against Green Bay on Sunday night. It came to a push. They should have won that game by 14, no problem. But what are you going to do? The Eagles, their problem is also their defense gets lax later in the game. They're not tight all the way through. They get the lead or they get something or they're losing. They have a lax defense. They got a lot of talented guys on that defense, but for some reason, they get kind of lax, and that's not good.
Been that way since opening day with the Eagles.
Right. And you know what? It's susceptible to losses because what teams should be looking at, if you're playing the Eagles, you should look at the game film that Washington used against this team. Washington's game plan was going run heavy, use up a lot of the clock, ground game, sprinkle in some passes, and they won and create a turnover here or there. And that's what they did. And that's the recipe the Titans should do. Use Derrick Henry, use somebody else, play action pass, spread that offense out. Don't be predictable. The worst thing you can be in the NFL is predictable. But I like the Titans in this game. I think they might even beat the Eagles. They got a shot. You never know. Turnover here or there.
Either one of these teams could win this game on any Sunday. They're both really good teams. You would not be surprised to see either one of these teams playing for their league championship.
That's right. That's right. There's some games this weekend. I'm telling you right now. That they are must-see games. So, all right, we haven't that one down. You got now Sunday, 4:00. Here's another one. Miami at San Francisco. San Francisco is favored by 3.5. JB, who are you liking in this one?
I love San Francisco. Since they got Christian McCaffrey, this team's going to the Super Bowl. They have all the weapons except a big-time quarterback, but they have a quarterback that knows how to get things done. I like San Francisco big time. I think their defense is going to shut down the explosive Dolphins offense. I think Tua is going to be running for his life. I think the secondary is going to put the clamps on Hill and Waddle. And Miami's not going to be this explosive team that they usually are on offense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I got to disagree with you on this one because, number one, Christian McCaffrey has a small injury. He might not even play this weekend. It just came out today. He didn't even practice today, so it's like day to day. So he's sore. Second, you see the backfield for Miami, which you did not mention, is a couple of guys that are former San Francisco 49ers in Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson. And they're a very good 1-2 punch. And they can't wait for this game to play against their old team. They can't wait. They give Tua the option right now of passing or running. And that's a great option to have. With those two in the backfield and Waddle and Hill on the sides, and you're throwing the tight end as well, you got an explosive offense there. All needs to be done in that situation is the offensive line has to hold. Now, San
Listen,
Francisco, everybody's talking about their defense, but look who they played in the last 4 weeks. They played the Saints. They played the Rams. I mean, they're not playing, teams that are going to the playoffs.
well, it's
Or,
been all year. It's been all year, Jeffrey.
no, it hasn't been since the beginning because it hasn't been it hasn't been since the beginning. And Jimmy G, he's not a man that takes control. He's got happy feet as well. I wasn't convinced with the beating of New Orleans last week, 13-0. They scored 1 touchdown. Okay. This is an offense that has a lot of weapons. You got, people, Elijah Mitchell is going to be out now. Kyle Shanahan, he's not the greatest coach in the world. He's blown leads, blown games, suspect play calling. They they had to come back and beat the Chargers. I like the Dolphins in this game. There's a play.
You're very good at what you do, but this week, I don't know, maybe you slept on the wrong side of the bed. Maybe your coffee wasn't hot in the morning. And you're just very out there.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I'd like to hear people who are watching this. They got comments and everything. Let's see who's doing the right analysis and who's throwing darts at the wall.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Jeff Wilson Jr. is a great quarterback with a great running back with a great name. Got to love anyone named Jeff Wilson. Great name. But the Dolphins don't know how to exploit using the running game. They haven't done it properly yet.
Well, we'll see.
I don't think Mike McDaniels is the coach yet. I don't think he's a bad coach. There's a lot of first-year coaches that aren't very good. We see that in Denver right now.
Well, there's a lot of coaches in the NFL that aren't good. I can name 5 right off the top of my head.
But McDaniels, I don't know. I don't see the running game, the passing game. I don't see him, using it together. And that's why I kind of like the 49ers all day. I think Hill's going to be running a lot of yards. It's going to be like a soccer match for Hill. A lot of running, not a lot of action.
Well, we'll see. Miami last week, they put up 30 in the first half. They probably could have put up 60 against Houston. And they almost blew the cover because they let Houston score 15 points. I mean, I like Miami laying 12, but, you got to cover some of these games. You can't be letting the teams come back. And I understand they were resting Tua. That's no problem. But don't let a team think that they have a chance. The defense started getting lax, and I didn't like that. I was like looking at it. It was like, okay, 30-6.
I don't understand why teams play the prevent defense.
It prevents you from winning.
Exactly. It's the stupidest thing in the world. We see it week after week. Win by 100. Shut the teams out. You don't want to play your starters? Take the starters out. That's why you have backups. But stop with this prevent defense crap.
That's right. So
ask the Ravens how good that works for them.
Yeah, well, if you have Marcus Peters on your team, you might as well just pencil in a loss. All right, another game. This is big. This is like a playoff game. It's Kansas City at Cincinnati. Kansas City is favorite on the road by 2.5. Who are you liking this one, JB?
So I learned something this week, and it's been trending all year. The home dog. They're like unstoppable this year. So
most of the time.
Within reason. I mean, with good teams, not with just anybody. I'm going to go with Cincinnati here. I think this is a great game. But I think, when it's all said and done, it's not going to hurt either team to lose. They're going to play a great game. The Chiefs have an explosive offense with a okay defense. Cincinnati's pretty much their offense is doing pretty well. I'm pretty sure Jamar Chase should be back. I think Joe Burrow is going to light up their defense, throw in a Chase and Higgins and Boyd and everybody else. And when it's all said and done, I think that the Bengals are going to show why they got to the Super Bowl last year. That's no disrespect for the Chiefs. The Chiefs are a good team. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be 3 to 6 points. Maybe a turnover somewhere that nobody expects, a fumble by one of the receivers or a Pacheco fumble somewhere. But I like the Bengals in this game.
Well, I have to agree with you here. I like the Bengals at home. You got to understand, though, excuse me, Cincinnati beat Kansas City twice last year. They beat them in Cincinnati during the Week 16. Then they beat them in the championship game in Kansas City. Kansas City might want some revenge here, but Joe Burrow is a cool customer. He really knows how to sling that ball, and he doesn't fall into usual traps. He doesn't get too comfortable with a certain player. He knows how to spread the offense out, and he doesn't get rattled. He's not a quarterback or a guy that seems to get nervous. He doesn't have happy feet. He's better than most of the quarterbacks in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, the secondary for them is very suspect. Yeah, they do cut the run down. They do have some gaps and everything. I mean, they got lucky last week, believe it or not, in covering the spread against the Rams. They were big, they covered by half a point, but that game shouldn't have been covered as well. Chiefs are actually better on the road than they've been at home. Bengals are good just everywhere. They really held Tennessee in tight last week at Tennessee. For Joe Burrow, it doesn't matter where the game is. He can win the game. And I think the fans this week, they're going to be going nuts because they know the Chiefs are sort of like one of the teams that are in the way of Cincinnati in getting to the Super Bowl. This might be even another preview for the AFC Championship game in February for the AFC. And I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't surprise me at all if these two teams were back there again. We'll see what's what, but I got to hand it to you. I like the Bengals in this game. I think, So
question for you. Jamar Chase coming back, how important is that for Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense this week?
Well, it just gives another receiver or another player that Kansas City has to keep an eye on. I mean, even if he's at 50%, you can't leave the guy open. You can't leave him unattended because if he catches a pass, that's another guy that you got to cover. That's what it comes down to. You could even use him as a decoy. You don't even have to throw him.
I just think the chemistry between Burrow and Chase, I mean, he has chemistry with Boyd, he has chemistry with Higgins, but his chemistry with Chase from their time at LSU and, the year and a half that Chase has been in the NFL has been phenomenal. You see what Chase did before he got hurt. So, I think that's a huge part, especially when you play in the Chiefs where field goals don't cut it. You need touchdowns. So having your favorite toy out there to throw to, is a great thing for Joe Burrow. I think that totally enhances that offense, which is already a pretty good offense. Led by a guy that's not very good.
He's a quarterback that doesn't get rattled. The offensive line has gotten stronger over the season. Thank God for him. I like this game. I think Cincinnati wins by a field goal.
Wow. It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, probably, you look at the last three games we went over. I know the first two games are good games. Nothing against them. But the last three games we spoke about, those are great matchups. I mean, that should be Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night. That's the way it should be. Because these are three phenomenal games.
Well, you got a great game on Thursday night for a change. You got Buffalo at New England, and both teams are playing. You start looking up, but you know what? They're both over 500. They're both in the AFC East, and they're both battling for a possible playoff game. Everybody's saying Buffalo, but let me tell you something. Buffalo has not covered in the last 5 games. They're 0-5, and they're 3-2 straight up.
My issue with the division game is you see them play twice a year. Put a game that you don't usually see on the primetime games, that you couldn't just see twice a year. If you stack these 3 games in primetime, do you know what the ratings would be like? The NFL has great ratings anyway. But everybody wants to see Derrick Henry against the Eagles or Jalen Hurts against the Titans. Everybody wants to see the Dolphins, who are battling for the AFC East, go out and play the 49ers with Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuels. And Patrick Mahomes against Joe Burrow, that's Monday Night Gold. Yeah,
Monday night you got New Orleans at Tampa Bay. Two teams.
Exactly. Who wants to see that?
Battling. Well, it's very hard to flex out a Monday night game. They do flex out Sunday night games. But New Orleans and Tampa Bay. I mean, the NFC South is looking horrible, and probably the team that even has a losing record might end up in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. Um, Real quick before we wrap up, right now, who's making the playoffs in the NFC? The Giants or the Redskins, or
I'd say
both?
the Redskins. Giants have a
Michael?
very tough schedule going forward. I don't see them winning too much down the road. I see Washington winning more games than the Giants. If there's a chance that three teams come out of the NFC, it's going to be the Washington Redskins and Philly and Dallas.
And we both failed. We both called them the Redskins, not the Commanders. We're both living 5 years ago. Where can people find you?
You can find me like at a few places at jeffcadillac.com. That's my website. Review all the games, analysis, and stats every week for free. You can also check me at Sportskeeda in the betting section. I do two articles a week over there, different games, analysis, a fun-filled article on betting. You can find me on the Rick Kamler Show on the Better Sports Network every Friday night at 7:30 on the Better Sports Network app. You can also find me sometimes on Dr. Roto. He's also on the Better Sports Network app, sometimes late night Tuesday or Thursday. And on Twitter at Jeff Cadillac 1. And before you even say it, every Wednesday night here on the J&J Sports Express, courtesy of Sideline Sports.
So in case you missed it, we got all the Twitter handles on the bottom, Jeff, myself, and Sideline Sports. You can follow me on Twitter, JB_ the program. You can watch me every Tuesday night on Sideline Sports at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Every Wednesday at 7 here, although we were a little late tonight, for the J&J Sports Express. 9:30 approximately for the South Florida Sports Exchange. And every other week on both sides of the coin. And who knows where else I'll be, but it was a pleasure, Jeff. We will be back next week as we're getting into the end of the season. Lots of important games coming up, but everybody have a great night, and we'll see you a week from today.